Sua. Welcome to week number 6. This video is going to be posted probably a little bit late because this week we are busy with the practicum. Basically, we're going to be teaching every single day this week and 3 days into next week, so it's a constant grind of lesson planning and teaching and more lesson planning and preparing materials, but get to hear all about that next week. Today I'm going to talk about last week, and there's probably 3 notable events I'd like to discuss. The first one being the final community teach. It was my last one and not necessarily my best one, but I think it was a learning experience for everybody involved. Basically, we had a really solid lesson plan for an older group of students. So we came into this thinking that maybe the students knew more than they actually did, but they actually didn't know the basic vocabulary required to get to some of the higher order things we had prepared, which was insightful. I think through this experience of community teach, I had one class where I underestimated what students know, and so we didn't prepare lessons that were high enough for their level of development. And then in this lesson, we overestimated what the students know and then over-prepared for their level of development. All in all, I think we pulled it together pretty well, especially the 2 ladies I was working with. They seemed to handle their parts of the lesson pretty gracefully. I myself feel like I floundered a bit trying to teach the activity that I was supposed to be teaching, but that could just be my perspective. You can be the judge if you feel like watching an hour of teaching in this video. So yeah, that was community teach. Didn't finish strong, but like I said, it was a good learning opportunity, and so far practicum's going pretty good, so still feel pretty good about it. So the second big thing to happen this week was the host family roundtable. And personally, I think this was probably the most important thing we've done all of PST. We gathered together at the Watt at the end of a school day. There was a bunch of snacks, a bunch of jet, which is my favorite, dragon fruit. That's unimportant though. The important thing is we gathered with our host families. We were in small groups of about 2 or 3 families. I was with another volunteer, Dylan, and his host mother. Our host mothers got along. They're very comfortable with each other, which is why they're put in a group together, because in this discussion, we learned about their experiences in the Khmer Rouge. So we sat down as a family, and then we also had one of our LCFs there to translate. And we would ask questions to our host family, and they would tell us about their experiences going through this really horrible time in history. I don't want to give too many of the graphic details, just out of respect for my mom's story. It was a hard day for her, you could tell. And I remember talking to her before we even got there, and she was like, I don't know if I'm gonna go. I don't know if I can go and talk about this stuff. And she had already talked to me a little bit about some of her history. And I was able to pick out some things, and I had one of my teachers help me translate some other stuff that she told me. But she did end up coming, and then I got to hear more and more details about what she went through. And it was really touching and very moving, I think, for a lot of us. We've grown to be a part of these people's families, and they've grown to be a part of our lives, and we feel connected to them now. And so when we hear these stories about these people we're so connected to, it's suddenly not just this isolated event in history, right? It's not like this thing that happened that has no connection to our lives. It connects to us because it affects people we care about, and I think that was so important to hear these stories, especially teaching in this country, because now we're connected to something that has happened so recently. So again, this was the most important thing we've done all of PST. Yeah, it's superior to the teaching, superior to the language, just this cultural understanding and connection to the people of this country, I think was absolutely the best, the most meaningful thing that we could have done so far. Yeah. Anyways, the third probably big thing that happened was we were prepping for practicum. So as I said, this week we're doing practicum. We're in there teaching an hour every single day for 9 days straight minus Sunday. And Friday and Saturday of last week, we started prepping for it. So we met with Khmer counterparts, and we'll be flip-flopping secondary and primary. So six groups will be teaching in primary, 6 groups will be teaching in secondary. You're in groups of 3 or 2 people. And on the first 2 days, in each cohort, you'll be working with a Khmer teacher. So Friday we met with the primary school teachers, and Saturday we met with secondary school teachers. We planned for Monday with our primary school teacher on Saturday, and basically put together a lesson plan. Got to know her a little bit, got to know her teaching history. We were lucky enough to have an LCF there to facilitate translation. Obviously that's not going to be the case when we go to site. And, you know, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but we're going to be able to navigate it, I think. You know, I think we're learning enough of the language that we'll be able to figure it out. Yeah. And you can talk without language, right? Like, you can make gestures, you can do pictures, like, there's ways to communicate. It's going to be a little more challenging, and it's, you know, having the LCF there was like so chill because they just made, you know, translation so much easier. But yeah, you know, that's what we signed up for. And people have been doing it for 15 years in this country, so there's ways around it and there's ways to do it, and we're going to figure it out. Like I said, I'll go into more details about the practicum in the coming week. But yeah, the Sunday I got to finish on a pretty high note. I had a really, really busy Sunday, a lot of fun activities. I started the morning talking to a friend from home, spent about an hour on the conversation with her. And then I talked to my parents for an hour and a half. Then I ate breakfast, then went out for an hour-long bike ride, which was sweet. And then I came home, and me and 2 other host families and a bunch of kids went to the zoo. And then after the zoo, we went to Lake Bati to watch the boat races. So next weekend, one of the biggest Khmer holidays is coming up, and that's the Water Festival. And that goes on in Phnom Penh. There's like boat races, there's parties, there's music. It's a huge thing. And this week, basically, the province where we are, Takayo, they were having a competition to see who goes to Phnom Penh next week. So the winner of this week's competition is going to go to Phnom Penh. So, really fun way to end the week. Probably one of the busiest Sundays, and I think probably the best Sunday. Yeah, it was awesome. So probably going to end this video with a little bit of improv ukulele over some footage of all the stuff that happened on Sunday. So I'll see you next week, and enjoy. Well, we went to the zoo. It was a fun thing to do. We saw a lot of animals at the zoo. Peacocks are my favorite bird, and there's a herd of people and deer, and lots of fun and cheer. Going to the lake now, working hard. They're going really far, trying to win the race, trying to get first place. Cause if they do it really good, then they know they're gonna go to the capital city to participate in boat rides, try to win the gold for the bigger competition. And I think that's for these guys, that is their mission. Orange team is falling behind. Come on, pick it up, orange team. After we watched the boat rides, we went around to the festival grounds of the carnival thing that was happening. Oh, and we ended the day at some ruins. It was really